The night air is thick and stifling, pressing down on me as I sit by the window, staring into the vast African savanna. The darkness beyond seems to pulse with a malevolent life of its own, shifting and whispering secrets that I can't quite understand. Normally, this view calms me, but tonight it feels like something is out there, lurking, watching. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings, a role I've worn like a second skin since my parents split when I was 6. Life has since been a relentless cycle of moving between my mom and dad, trying to piece together the broken parts of our family. My mom remarried, had 2 more kids, and divorced again. My dad's new marriage brought my stepmother and their daughter into the fold. We are a sprawling, blended family, and though we've managed to get along on the surface, something's always felt off. Being the eldest carries its burdens. I've always been the one to shoulder responsibilities, to care for my siblings, to be the reliable one. But recently, it's as if I've become invisible, merely the family's go-to problem solver, a ghost among the living. The weight of this role is crushing, and the edges of my patience are fraying. 3 months ago, my fiancé and I discovered we are expecting a baby. It should have been a moment of pure joy, but instead, it felt like a cruel joke. The weight of impending fatherhood, coupled with my existing responsibilities, threatened to drown me. 2 weeks ago, during one of those dreaded family gatherings, I ended up watching the kids again. It's what I've always done, but that night, something shifted. After dinner, I sank into a chair, hoping for a brief break. I had a plate of fresh mango slices, a small comfort after a day spent wrangling children. Then my little sister, from my mom's side, approached with those insistent, pleading eyes. I offered her a piece, but she kept asking, her demands growing more persistent until most of my mango was gone. I swallowed my disappointment and stayed silent. My fiancé, noticing, gently told her, "Let your big brother have some too." But then my father's voice sliced through the air, cold and devoid of warmth. "You should realize that an older brother is like a second father. That won't change even when he has his own child." His words replayed in my mind, turning into something darker. It wasn't about the fruit, it was about the endless expectations, the constant demand for my presence and sacrifice. It felt as if I was no longer seen as a person but as a servant. I tried to let it go, to avoid the confrontation I so often dread. But this time, something inside me snapped. My parents, sensing my frustration, became defensive, listing all the duties of an older brother as if I hadn't fulfilled them my entire life. As if it was never enough. In a moment of raw, unfiltered rage, the words erupted from me like a dam breaking. "You've never really treated me like your son," I said, my voice trembling. "Just someone who's supposed to help all the time." The silence that followed was suffocating. My mother's expression turned to stone as she snatched my sister away, leaving the room without a word. My father's silence was a sharper blow than any words he could have spoken, a look that said I had crossed an invisible line. Days have passed, and now my messages go unanswered. It's as if I've been erased from the family's memory, cast out from the life I've desperately tried to hold together. But that's not what haunts me the most. What terrifies me is what's been happening since that night. It began with a shadow, a figure at the edge of my vision, barely distinguishable against the darkness. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light. But then, I started seeing it more frequently. A presence standing just outside the window, watching me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. I'd blink, and it would vanish, leaving me questioning my sanity. Strange noises followed, whispers creeping through the dark corners of the house, almost too faint to be real. I tried to dismiss them, but the feeling of being watched grew unbearable. Last night, I woke to the sound of footsteps creeping outside my house. They were slow, deliberate, as though someone wanted me to hear them. I live alone on the open plains, and there shouldn't have been anyone out there. Yet, the footsteps circled the house again and again. My heart raced as I looked out the window. What I saw was not human. A blood-shifting figure stood just beyond the edge of the light, its form barely perceptible but unmistakably present. Its face was a void, and though it made no sound, I could feel its gaze piercing through the darkness, watching, waiting. It didn't move, as if it knew I was paralyzed with fear. I backed away from the window, my breath hitching. I don't know what this entity is, or why it's here, but it feels deeply connected to the anger and frustration that have been festering inside me. It's as if my own dark emotions have manifested into something tangible and terrifying. I don't know how to mend the rift with my family, or if it's even possible. But one thing is certain, the darkness outside my window is not the only thing I need to fear. It's the darkness within me that terrifies me the most.